Hello everyone, you are watching Holiday Special 2023 stream. And since it's the last day of 2023, that's also the last episode. Had a lot of fun creating these 12 episodes. Originally, I thought I'll do 14. So, not sure if you were hoping for 2 more, but there's a lot of things that were packed in these 14 ones, and today I will summarize some of the key points. Now on the screen, I also have 3 DCA settings that I have shown to you during these streams. This is my tiny DOGE bots, so it can run not only the Dogecoin but other tokens, and that's an exponential one, very aggressive DCA. So it works with a good entry, or if the markets are trending in one direction, like very strong trend. These are good bots. And then I have these 2 somewhat normal bots, one that I call white and the other one I call mini. And mini is just a bit more densely packed, but it's still progressing gradually. And I use them mainly for trading Bitcoin, but they can also be used to trade altcoins. So I've given you these DCA settings. I shared a few bots, and sometimes during the next few days, I plan to review the content of the streams and adjust the description and maybe titles, so these streams can be easily found on YouTube. And I will also probably publish some articles. For example, I will publish an article on my blog today and put a copy to the backtester that I have shown to you the other day. So the other day we have done a backtester with the help of ChatGPT, and we looked at the RSI indicator. So it was fairly successful given specific market conditions that we are in, given the specific coin. I haven't done an extensive testing on other coins for this strategy, but we kind of got lucky that we immediately saw some profitability for the strategy and the backtester, and that's something that I immediately used to create a bot. We wanted to create a bot on 3Commas, a signal bot, and also I've shown you that you can create one directly on exchange. I did in fact create one yesterday on OKX exchange directly. So it just had one entry so far, it's running. And I think it's fairly intuitive, so I will not go into details of how to do that. You will probably figure this out by yourself. And if not, just ping me. Feel free to contact me. I'm happy to talk to you on Discord or Telegram or whatever you prefer. Now, one thing that I wanted to finalize this whole stream sessions and what I wanted to cover today is to show you that since we have the backtester and we have identified that certain overbought levels and certain oversold levels are good for example, this particular token, render token. Yesterday I put a stop loss. Well, you didn't have to have a stop loss. If you, for example, want to trade, or what should I put? If you want to trade on futures, on spot, then maybe you decide I will just wait it out. And given these settings that you found, I was showing you, well, you can create an alert and you create a signal bot. However, remember the 3Commas itself is fairly powerful and it has a lot of conditions. So if you know what conditions you want to use, and what conditions, what settings for these conditions you want to use. Then you don't need to have alerts and you don't need to have TradingView subscription. So that's what I want to finalize our whole session on today. So if you go to your TreeCommerce and you create a new DCA bot, then you just do things manually. I will take one of my spot accounts and here again, make things very simple. Select the coin that we had backtested things on. I'll remove some of the more advanced features such as reinvestment. And I will then proceed to, first I'll do the DCA safety order section, and then we'll come back to the deal start condition. So for example, I will want to start with my base order as 20 and my safety order as 20. And I will use the wide setting that I have shown you just a moment ago. So it will have just 3 safety orders, 1 active at a time, or you can have all 3 active, it doesn't really matter. And then safety volume is 115. And then safety step scale is 125. So it's this one that I want to now set up. That's, as I mentioned to you a few times, that's kind of now my template. I could also use this one. That's also as well. This one takes a little bit more capital, but it also produces a better profitability. So with DCA settings set up, now I will use the special conditions that we have backtested. So I will select out of many possibilities, I will select RSI as my deal start condition. And we learned that length 14 works very well. And the time frame that we backtested this and where we said it works fairly well is 15 minutes. And then we said we will buy as soon as the value is below or less than 30. Again, in TreeCommerce, you could do more things. You could nest them, you could add other conditions. I will not do that. That will be the only one. Now, what about exiting? Here we saw that on average, we have 1.6% of profit per trade. So I could put this average 1.6 and we could actually start and run, but I could also make it more interesting for us. So instead of a specific target, defined target, I could also have a take profit based on a condition. So again, I would go to condition. It would be RSI. In this case, in my case, 15 minutes, length 14, and greater than. So based on my backtest, it's better to wait a little bit. So we will do 75. Now, what's beautiful here, and this is what I really like, is that here you could say, well, we also want to enable minimum profit. So we don't want to exit unless a minimum profit is fulfilled. That means we would avoid losses. We would not exit earlier. And this, some of these trades actually have losses here based on TradingView because this one doesn't have DCA. This just waits for buy and sell, and then it performs these exits. But since we are doing things a bit more sophisticated, I would say, we adding a DCA, we could also say we're going to enable this minimum profit, and we want to say, well, don't exit if our, for example, total volume that we bought is at least 1% in profit. And that's how TreeCommerce can serve you with some research and some kind of informed decision making. It can serve you to create a strategy. I do recommend you to use this 50% opportunity. I think it's active just for a few days. And you could go for a beginner. Here you could have 5 single pair bots. When you are a bit more advanced, or if you are already more advanced, or if you're learning very fast, then Pro would be a good plan. And there you could have not only a lot of single pair DCA bots, but you can also have multi-pair DCA bots. This one, this particular type of bots I have not covered at all in my holiday special. So there's still some room for you to explore, but there is a lot of materials on YouTube and it's also intuitive. If you use my referral code, it helps me as well. So it's in the link, and that also goes for the exchanges. There are 2 exchanges that I leave. I use Bybit and OKX. So if you use to register with these referral codes, it helps me, and I do believe it helps you as well, because the referral system is usually set up in a way that whenever you use a referral code, your fees are reduced. That's how the whole incentive system works. And finally, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, and that goes a long way for me, I have about, well, now I try to limit it to 3 coffees per day, but coffee is the fuel for everything for me. And I do wish you a great celebration tonight. If you're watching this already somewhere later in spring or in summer, I hope the content's still useful. Then I wish you a good day. Feel free to reach out. We talk again soon. Thank you very much for staying with me. Goodbye, guys.